세계 한국학 연구의 메카, 하와이 대학 한국학 연구소에 가는 길은 언제나 즐겁습니다. 건물에서부터 한국적인 정취가 물씬 느껴져서일까요? 바라만 봐도 좋은 이곳에서 오늘은 특별한 손님을 만나기로 했습니다. 아름다운 선율로 소통하는 음악가 마이클님은 조금 남다른 증조 할아버지 할머니를 가졌습니다. 26의 나이에 하와이로 이민와 이른해 세상을 떠날 때까지 고국의 독립운동과 하와이 한인 이민자들의 권익 신장에 모든 것을 바친 안원규. 그리고 남편 못지않은 용기와 기계가 넘쳤던 여성 리더 안정송. 하와이 이민사는 물론이고 대한민국의 독립운동 역사에 큰 발자취를 남기고 떠난 독립운동가 부부의 4대 손 마이클님을 함께 만나보시죠.
My name is Michael Lim. I play violin with the Hawaii Symphony Orchestra. I also teach music in middle school and high school. And my passion in life is music. It's everything that I do with my job and everything that I do with my life. I'm kind of an introverted person, so music is really a way that I can express a lot of the things I feel inside. I don't like to talk so much. I'm actually very quiet. But music is a way that I can get those emotions out and make something beautiful and say things that I don't necessarily have to say actual words, but I can convey emotions and feelings and hopefully make other people feel emotions as well.
That's great. I guess that's how a lot of artists feel like they express their way of thinking through their works.
Yes.
That's great. When did you start violin?
I started violin at age 7. I had already been playing piano since age of 4. At the time I started violin, I was much better at the piano because I'd been playing for 3 years. But as I continued to play the violin, I found that I could express myself better on the violin.
Not just violin, but you play viola, you rearrange music, and you compose music as well. How did you get into those composing and rearranging part?
I think my piano background really had a big influence on the composing and the arranging because with the piano I really understand the chords and how music is laid out, and my dad was always into just like improvising on the piano, and so I kind of learned that from him as well. And composing, I've always been kind of tinkering with things, writing songs here and there. I actually wrote our graduation song for my high school graduation, and ever since then I've been writing more and more music on my own. During kind of the pandemic era and a little bit before, I was trying to write a full musical, so based on A Midsummer Night's Dream by Shakespeare. And so I took the text and kind of rearranged it into modern English and wrote the lyrics out in song format. And I composed, 20, 25-ish musical numbers that would transform it into a musical setting.
Oh,
So,
that's awesome. How far is it now?
I have all the songs done. It just needs to, I would need to arrange the music so that a pit band could play it for a performance, and also we need to like modify the text a little bit so that it could be performed on stage, but it's getting closer.
Oh, that's awesome. I look forward to seeing it. Back in 2003, we were celebrating the Korean immigrant histories in Hawaii, and the Centennial Committee was selecting 27 notable Koreans, and three of the entire Korean communities from the first generations of Korean were from your family. You're aware of it.
Yes.
Can you introduce who they were?
So these are both on my father's side. My father's mother, her parents were Wan Kyu-an and Chung Son-an. And Wan Kyu-an was, he came to Hawaii to work on the plantations, and he became a successful businessman, and he did a lot of work to help found the Korean National Association.
국민회, right?
Yes, and did a lot of work towards Korean independence during the wartime and helped a lot of the Korean immigrants that came to Hawaii. And his wife, Lee Chung-song, who was later An Chung-song, she also did a lot of work for the Korean community in Hawaii, both as a teacher and she helped out the Korean community a lot. And then there's Im Chun-ho, who is my father's grandfather on his father's side. And he originally came to work in the plantations, but he was a pastor. And he was really instrumental in helping the Korean communities, especially fighting for those people who worked on the plantations and getting them, fair working conditions and helping them to succeed in their work in Hawaii.
That's awesome. It is very special to have three people all in your family tree that were helping Korean community here so much, and then also supporting the Korean independent movement in Korea. How did it affect you personally? Did it affect you personally in your life to have ancestors like that?
Yeah, well, my grandparents didn't really talk about it that much. So I guess the first time I really learned about Mr. An, I was in around middle school age, I think, and we had a ceremony here at the Center for Korean Studies at the University of Hawaii. And a lot of my family members came to honor him, and he passed away in 1947, so a lot of my family had never met him, but it was just amazing to see all the work that he had done during his lifetime. And I think a lot of my family didn't really know about it. And so as a young boy, it was inspiring for me to hear about all the things he did to help people, to help the immigrants, to help his country back home. And I thought that I would also like to, help people in some way, maybe not to that grand of a scale. I think he did so much work, but I also wanted to help others in the way that he helped. My great aunt, Lizzie, she wrote a book. She was Mr. An's daughter, his youngest daughter. And so she wrote a book about her childhood in Hawaii. And so in that book, she accounts a lot of stories about how Mr. An helped certain people throughout his life. And I guess one of those was he gave somebody $50 to take a ticket to California and start his life. And that person was so grateful. He, became a more mature man in California, returned to the islands, and was coaching a team with the YMCA. And he was so happy that Mr. An donated uniforms to the team, because he said, they had such a sense of pride with the team to have those new uniforms made just for them, and it just boosted the morale of the team.
What about you being a musician? Was there any influence by your great-grandparents or anybody in your family member?
Well, his Mr. An's wife, Chung-song, when she first negotiated her terms of marriage to come down, she wanted a teaching position and she wanted a piano. So, yeah, she was obviously a well-educated musician herself. And in the book that I read, she would give her daughters music lessons every day. They would have to practice the piano, and so she would teach them music. And my grandmother's oldest sister, the oldest daughter, her name was Florence. She apparently had a really beautiful voice, and I think she was the first, at least Asian American woman to go to Juilliard to study voice and operatic singing ever. So when I heard that, that was so inspiring for me as a musician to think that, my family has made history in one of the top music schools in the country.
I wanted to share this, what Florence An wrote about her education. My parents both said to us, you must study hard, finish college, and go back to Korea to teach and help Korea. That is what we all went to school for, I guess. Did you know that she was feeling that way?
No, I didn't know that before, but I guess it goes along with what they always believed in was, to get a good education and study hard and become educated yourself, and then to go and help others, to help Korea.
That's amazing. Yeah, not just thinking about their own child's future, but also we're thinking about Korea, even though they were living so far away.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. And descendants of Mr. and Mrs. An went into various spheres of society, not just the music. As you know, Karen An was a judge of Hawaii, state of Hawaii, and the person who wrote that book that you let me borrow, what was her name?
Her name is Elizabeth.
Elizabeth
An Tupin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she was the first Asian American to be a dean of the Tufts University in
Yes,
Boston.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, I guess it seems like education was a really big part in their family.
Oh yes, I think it was always emphasized, both in their generation and then they pass it on to their children as well.
Yeah, and as a father of 20 months old little girl, what do you wish for her?
Well, I hope that she becomes a good moral citizen of the world. I also hope that she's happy in whatever she chooses to do with her life and also the people that she meets in her life. I think Mr. An really found that true wealth lies in helping others and to share that wealth with other people. And it kind of reminds me of a song that we used to sing in elementary school. Love is something, if you give it away, you end up having more. And it goes on to say, it's just like a magic penny. If you hold it tight, you don't have any, but if you lend it, spend it, you'll have so many that they roll all over the floor. And I think Mr. An really embodied this throughout his entire life. He was a very successful businessman, very wealthy. And I guess he could have used that wealth just for his own personal gain and for his own family. But he was committed to sharing that with the Korean community in Hawaii and with his country back home, donating, large portions of his plantation and just getting people good starts to their careers and helping them get off the plantations into their own businesses. And I hope Rena, will embody some of that philosophy in her life to not only be successful yourself, but to help others. And maybe if we could all be a little bit more like Mr. An, the world would be a much better place.
We have a special guest today. Can you please introduce her?
Yes, this is my wife, Nam Yu-sun. She's born and raised in Seoul, Korea. And we met when we were both studying violin at Indiana University. She's a doctor of music, which she received from Eastman School of Music. And now she plays in the Hawaii Symphony Orchestra as a violinist and also teaches violin lessons.
네, 유선 씨 오늘 자리해 주셔서 감사합니다. 맨날 무대에 계신 것만 보다가 옆에서 이렇게 얘기하니까 더 반갑네요. 제가 듣기로 한국에서 서울대 음대 재학 중에 1학기 때 이제 인디아나 대학으로 유학 갔다가 마이클 만나셨다고 들었어요. 어떻게 만나시게 된 거예요?
이제 대학교 2학년 때부터 콜텟을 같이 했어요. 이렇게 콜텟 연습을 이렇게 거의 매일 하다 보고 이러다 보니까 가까워지게 됐는데요. 그렇게 2년 동안 콜텟을 하다가 이렇게 만나게 됐어요. 굉장히 이렇게 정직하고 그리고 또 그런 배려심 많은 모습에 끌렸던 것 같아요.
그리고 오늘 그 마이클이 편곡 직접 한 고향의 봄 같이 연주해 주기로 하셨는데 어떤 마음으로 연주하실 건지 한 말씀 부탁드려요.
저도 이렇게 100여 년 전에 하와이에 오셔서 정착하신 한인 이민 1세대 분들 정말 후손들에게 더 나은 미래를 물려주려고 애쓰셨던 그분들의 뜻 생각하면서 또 고국 땅을 얼마나 그리워하셨을지 또 그 마음 생각하면서 연주하려고 합니다.
So I did an arrangement of a violin and viola duet of 고향의 봄. I hope to dedicate this piece to not only my great-grandparents, but to all the Korean immigrants who came and worked so hard so that we could have the lives that we have here today in Hawaii.